Good evening. We're going to get started in just a minute, so I'm going to ask y'all to get yourselves settled down so we can get started right on time and respect everybody's time this evening.
You were a teacher in your day, weren't you, Mrs. Fulkerson?
Yes, I was. My name is Carol Fogelsong, and I'm here representing the League of Women Voters of Orange County. I'm going to get to be the moderator for this debate, and I'm hearing an echo. Um, the League of Women Voters is a trusted organization that does the hands-on work to safeguard democracy. We never endorse a candidate, but we do take positions on issues that have an impact on us. If you're interested in learning more about the League and how you can make an impact on this community, I encourage you to go to the webpage www.lwvoc.org to learn more. Now, here's my request of all of you. Take your phones out and turn them off. If there's a ring, it's $5 to the League of Women Voters, or else it's $10 to the library. So please make sure your phones are off. This is a candidate forum for the City of Winter Park Commission seat number 2 race. We will be following the League's debate format. Each candidate will have a 2-minute opening, 2-minute closing, and 1 minute to respond to each question. Some of these questions are from you, the community, but you need to know that we came prepared with about 70 questions before we got yours. So we're going to mix and mingle. Some of you are asking the same things we wanted to know. So if it's not quite the way you worded it, we're hoping that we will cover the topics that you wanted covered. At the end of the presentations, we'll give both candidates a rousing round of applause, but I'm going to ask you to hold your applause as they go through it. I've been asked to also tell you that the third candidate, Stockton Reeves, has been caught out of town on his job and was not able to get back for tonight's debate. So it's not that he didn't show, it's that the job got in the way for tonight. Our timekeeper, Val Mobley, in the front row, will be keeping track of the time, raising cards when there's 1 minute left for your opening and closing, 30 seconds left, and then stop. Stop when we say stop. I told them both that they could finish a word, but not a paragraph. We will be keeping the questions to the issues, not personalities. Each candidate will answer both the same question. The candidates drew cards to determine who would give the first opening statement and who would give the last closing statement. And we will now begin with Jason Johnson and his first opening statement.
Thank you, Mrs. Fogelsong. My name is Jason Johnson. I'm obviously running for seat 2 in the Winter Park City Commission. And hopefully, if you like what you hear tonight, I'll be able to count on your vote on March 19th or before, if you vote by mail or in early voting. I believe that I am the right candidate with the experience, the ethics, and the accessibility to be elected to this position. I have a newfound respect after having done this for the last few months for anybody who puts their name on a ballot. And so I have to thank Mr. Russell for running and for showing up here tonight. I think it's important for members of the public to be able to meet and hear from their candidates for elective office. I'm surprised to see how many people are here. I knew Winter Park had an engaged citizenry, but it's nice to see. I had the opportunity to meet Mr. Russell for what turned out to be the second time at the last city commission meeting. During a break, I walked up and introduced myself to him as a friendly hello, and found out that in my first year out of law school, when I was clerking for a federal judge, I had the honor of working directly with Mr. Russell's mother, a woman named Nola Russell, who I just adore. And so any man who was raised by Nola Russell has to be a fine man. And so I'm happy to have Mr. Russell in the race. It's nothing personal, and we just decided to let the chips fall where they may. I happen to think I'm the best candidate for this position. I decided to run for Winter Park City Commission because of an issue that occurred in our neighborhood back off of Temple Drive, and an effort that I thought was overreaching by development interest. So I spearheaded an effort among our neighbors to fight that. We lost at P&Z and ultimately prevailed before the city commission. But when Mayor Anderson ran for office, I supported him. He was kind enough to appoint me to the Board of Adjustments, which I've served on now for.
Oh, wow. Mr. Russell, your 2-minute opening, please.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here. My name is Craig Russell. Thank you, Mr. Johnson, for the kind words. Um, I'm a homegrown resident. I've been here my entire life. My family moved down here when I was 8 years old. I've been to the feeder schools from Brookshire, Glenridge, Winter Park High School, and I pride myself on being a staple of this community. There are three things that the people of this community have turned to me over the years, and that's representation, my leadership, and the ability to community build. Um, I want to bring a representation to the city commission that hasn't been there. Um, I feel as though I can represent single families, blended families, families with high achieving kids, families with low achieving kids, families with high achieving athletes, um, students in the arts and band, um, families that have had kids go on to trade schools, all walks of life, race, color, and creed. I've seen and I've experienced it through all the work and service that I've put into the community. Um, Diverse leadership are statistically stronger, and I truly believe that I can bring that to the city commission. This community has turned to me for leadership in a multitude of different ways. I started a nonprofit organization with my wife a couple years ago when a student reached out to us and needed help. And we were able to lean on our community to come together and uplift that student in a way that was just unbelievable. That snowballed into 200 boxes in our driveway with students and all people from all walks of life coming together to meet a need that wasn't already there. And being able to lead our community is something that I feel like I can bring to our commission the same way that I answer the call through Army of Angels. Um, Lastly,
Uh,
uh, oh, oh boy.
Goes fast, doesn't
See,
it?
it goes
Yeah.
fast. Okay, now let me remind you, it's 1 minute now. So you're going to have to go fast.
Carol, we got stuff to say, Carol.
You're going to have to do it in the close.
Nobody knows us.
Mr. Johnson, first up. And then Mr. Russell, you answer the same question. Name a strength, a weakness, an opportunity, and a threat to Winter Park. A strength, a weakness, an opportunity, and a threat.
Well, I think the strength is shown in this room. It's the engaged citizenry that we have. People certainly care a lot about the issues that come before the city commission in the city of Winter Park. We're a city of 30,000 residents, and we have a packed room here tonight for a city commission race. So I think that's certainly a strength. A weakness might be the fact that we're a bit fractured. Some of the communities are a bit fractured. I think we can do a better job of bringing those communities together. That would fall in the opportunity category as well, the opportunity to bring those fractured communities together. The threat, I think, are outside development interests who see us as a pot of gold into which they want to dip the ladle as many times as possible and protecting against overdevelopment in our city.
Thank you. Mr. Russell.
The strength that we have in this community goes back for a long time. We are a community that likes to give and likes to serve. This community is strong in the sense that they like to take care of anybody that they can take care of and are built through service. A weakness in this community is that we're divided. We're divided generationally. We're divided recently. We're divided for a lot of different interests that I feel as though um, could do better. I mean, I feel I've seen it firsthand with the services that my foundation brings, and I've experienced it with a lot of my students. What's the next one?
Opportunity and a threat.
Opportunity we have in this community is to be positively inclusive so we can enhance this community moving forward for future generations. And the threat I have is closed ears, is we have to listen to our residents and truly be mindful of how they're feeling and what they're saying and answer that call.
Thank you. Mr. Russell will get the next question first. What is your biggest accomplishment?
My biggest accomplishment is it's my family. My family is a blended family that has come from all walks of life and experiences that nobody could 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 measure, could think of. And that strength that we've brought together with our family is incredible. That's given me the tools and the strength to lead large numbers of people in this community in a lot of different ways, being service minded, being inclusive, and being faithful and thoughtful of what their needs are. I'm a big family. I got 5 kids, blended, and a loving wife, but it's hard to meet all those needs. And what they've taught me and how I've brought that to the community is something I'll be forever grateful for.
Mr. Johnson?
This is an easy one. It's my 12-year-old daughter sitting in front of me right now, and the woman she's turning out to be. Um, it was important to me that she be here tonight to see what civic engagement looks like and what civic responsibility looks like. So my wife and I are just putting all our energy into raising her to be a good woman. I didn't realize how selfish I was until I held my daughter in my arms for the first time right after she was born, and my entire perspective on life did a 180, and it was all about her. So she's my greatest accomplishment by far.
Mr. Johnson gets this question first. How will you get other elected representatives, commissioners, or council members to work with you?
Well, I mean, that's an interesting question because you're only allowed to talk to each other during city commission meetings because of the Sunshine Law. So you can't have meetings outside of the city commission chamber. So I think it just requires talking openly on the dais about what your positions are, having spirited discussions that engage members of the community that are there at the city commission meetings. I'm not going to agree with every other sitting commissioner on every issue, but I think there are ways through those discussions to find common ground and reach consensus on issues.
Mr. Russell? Same question. How will you get other elected representatives and commissioners to work with you?
I think I'm very easy to work with, but I think more importantly, it's about listening to our residents and being mindful of what they're saying and being able to share that experience with our elected officials so that way they can hear them, just in case that they haven't had the opportunity that I have to hear what they're saying. Um, Jason brings up a great point about the Sunshine Law, but and being very open and transparent with our stance and our beliefs because they're the ones that put us in that position. So we have a responsibility to speak for them in a way that they can't speak for themselves.
Um, I have to keep my matrix going because I get confused. Mr. Russell gets this one
I have
first.
the white shirt on.
That's
It's
how you
got the
tell us
check mark.
apart.
It's about the check marks
White
over
and
here.
blue.
What is your vision for Winter Park?
My vision for Winter Park isn't far off of what Winter Park already is. Winter Park is a community that I love and I grew up in and is just so has given me almost everything that I have. And I would like to have that to share the experience that I had with future generations. Wh- You didn't put up the sign. Oh, okay. That's $5 to the legal and voters, $10 to the library.
And 20 extra seconds to
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Russell.
I'm sorry. No, I want to be able to give the same experiences that I had growing up here. That's what it looks like. It looks like an evolved version of what I had experienced when I was in school. And growing up in this community, its community is so loving and willing and special. And I want to be able to, like I said, share that same experience with the future generations.
I think that's pretty simple for me. My whole reason for running is to protect the charm and village feel we all love so much about the city. So my vision for the city is that when our daughter hopefully moves home after college or graduate school to the house that we are saving for her, that this community looks substantially similar to what it looks like now. And that's really my whole reason for running. I know that charm is a buzzword for candidates who run for city commission, but that's my North Star in all this is just to protect our charm. So city that looks 20, 30 years from now, substantially similar to what it looks like today is my vision for Winter Park.
Mr. Johnson gets this question first. Winter Park is hemmed in geographically. How and where would you propose balancing neighborhood vitality, stability, and business growth?
Well, I think there's a certain segment that would have you believe that we need to have a greater balance between residential and commercial tax bases. I don't know that I share that belief. I want to protect our current neighborhoods from commercial encroachment. But I do think that there are ways we can improve both the neighborhoods and the commercial vitality. Uh, we need to make sure our infrastructure is better improved and better maintained. Uh, I know that's not a sexy issue, but it is important for both our residents and our commercial businesses. Um, I think that's probably all I got time to mention. That's a detailed question.
Mr. Russell.
Question one more time.
Winter Park is hemmed in geographically. How and where would you propose balancing neighborhood vitality and stability and business growth?
With my experience, I know that a lot of our residents would love for their kids to be able to come back here and live. And with that being said, we have to be able to be open to listen to the possibility of growth. We have to be open to listen to the experts that can tell us, how can we solve this problem? I don't know all the answers. I know where to find all the answers. I know that there's a staff that's very smart and good at what they do. And I know that there are generations that want to come back here. And I'm open to listen to all ideas to make sure that it's mindful for everybody involved.
Mr. Russell gets this one first. Rollins College wants to build staff accommodations that do not meet code. What are your thoughts on how the commission should respond?
How do we make it work? I don't think that it's the immediate answer is just no. I think that we should listen to the experts. I think we should listen to what they're proposing, and we let the residents know this is what's being proposed, and be open and transparent to a conversation that includes everybody. We don't have the Rollins historically has been a good neighbor to us, and I think that that's an opportunity for something that we haven't done here in Winter Park, and I'm very open to hear more about it.
This is one that I'm just going to demur on because while it's coming before the city commission at an upcoming meeting, there's, I think, a very good likelihood that this issue may be kicked down the road, and one of us may have to vote on this issue. So I'm not going to opine on something I may have to vote on down the road. But I do think there is a need for housing for faculty and staff in the city, and many of them are kind of priced out of the market at right now. So I understand why Rollins wants to do it, but I also understand some of the residential concerns.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, what specific ideas do you have to increase the supply and quality of affordable housing and to preserve existing affordable housing?
Well, it's going to be really interesting to see how the Live Local Act impacts development interests in the city of Winter Park. But certainly the extension and expansion of the existing CRA is something that I think could and will impact affordable housing in a positive way. I know that Mayor Demings of Orange County, who we're going to need to support extending and expanding the CRA, has as one of his maybe unspoken conditions that we dedicate more efforts to affordable housing in the city of Winter Park. So I think it's going to happen. I think those discussions are already underway, and I think through the CRA is the best way we're going to make that happen.
Question one more time.
What specific ideas do you have to increase the supply and quality of affordable housing and to preserve existing affordable housing?
Right. Existing affordable housing isn't exactly something that we've known of here in Winter Park, and it's something new. The idea of affordable housing, I think it has a negative connotation with it that it doesn't deserve. Affordable housing, as Mr. Johnson points out, it is something that our CRA can help with and take care of. Again, that's something that I'm very excited about learning more about. By no means an expert in regards to solving the problem of affordable housing. I do know that it is something that this community is ready for. I think that we take all the input from the experts and the individuals that are very passionate about it, and we move forward. It's very worth the conversation with the right people mindfully and including everybody in a positive way.
This one goes first to Mr. Russell. Nearby cities, some smaller than Winter Park, use single member district voting as they believe that neighborhood district commissioners are more accountable to their voters. If elected, will you support putting a single member district amendment on the ballot and let the Winter Park voters decide?
There is enough data, in my opinion, for me to answer very accurately or data driven in regards to single member districts. Single member district, I think the issue is what kind of representation this community is feeling and has. When you bring up the idea of single member districts, if there's true representation, as the one I spoke on earlier, that I can provide, I think that that kind of solves that problem. Again, that's something that I'm not exactly the expert on, and I haven't seen enough data. I'm willing to learn about it, and I can't wait to learn more about it. But I think representation, true representation of the entire community, would make a demographic or an area of our community, our city, not feel so unheard.
Mr. Johnson.
Well, I'm always in favor of allowing the voters to decide. So I think the threshold answer would be yes, I'm supportive of allowing the voters to decide the issue. I think single member districts has its positives and negatives. And I don't know enough about it to tell you whether I'd support it or be against it right now. But I think one of the unintended consequences of single member districts in a city like Winter Park is that money then turns into having an outsized influence. Whereas right now, one person can only stroke a maximum $1,000 check to one of us or both of us if they want to hedge their bets, I guess. But if we had single member districts, they could be writing checks all over the place and having an outsized influence on who gets elected. And I think big money could really take over politics in Winter Park if that happened.
Mr. Johnson. Winter Park is often the destination for SunRail riders. Do you think more should be done to encourage the use of SunRail?
Well, I personally would love to see SunRail expanded to weekend service. I don't think it's going to happen. It's not something the city of Winter Park can really control, but it would be nice. I think it brings more, you know, people into the downtown core to shop on the weekends. It's good for our downtown businesses. Um, I I work on Park Avenue, so I don't have to go downtown every day anymore like I did for decades. If I did, I think I'd probably be using SunRail myself more. I certainly think expanding use of public transportation is a good thing anytime you can do it. I don't know that I have the solution for how to encourage more people to use it.
Mr. Russell.
Question one more time.
Winter Park is often the destination for SunRail riders. Do you think there should be more done, that more should be done to encourage the use of SunRail?
Well, I think you kind of answered the question within the question. It's often a destination because people want to come to Winter Park. They want to experience what we have on Park Avenue. It's a wonderful place to visit. I think that, I mean, we're a cut-through city, so people are going to figure out a way to come to Winter Park with or without the Sunrail. The Sunrail, I think, is done quite a bit for the community, and I'd like to see. I'd like to listen to whatever options are out there in regards to enhancing it or making a service like that better for our residents.
Okay, Mr. Russell. The old library was supposed to be sold to reduce the $300 million loan. Why can't we sell it as promised to the voters?
Oof, it's a lot of money. Man. Um, but yeah, I thought the number was 30 million, but I mean, again, that's something where I'm going to lean on um, a bunch of contacts that I have to learn more about that situation because it's I grew up going to that library, so it's hard for me to sit back and see it get, you know, dissected and beat up and made to be this just sore spot in our community. When for me, it was such an awesome project, and it was such an awesome thing to have, have that there in our community, going with my friends to that library. Whether I could ride my bike or my rollerblades and go in there and spend weekends on there. I mean, we're in this great facility, so it just brings back memories. Now, um, again, I'd like to dive back into seeing how that entire situation can benefit all the residents.
Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is for that property, but I know at the bottom of my list of priorities is selling that property. It's a gateway asset to the community for people coming from that direction into the downtown core. And I think it's too valuable an asset to simply sell off for a few dollars today. Um, Something can be done with it for sure, but I don't think selling it off is the right answer. I wouldn't support it right now.
Okay, Mr. Johnson. Are you happy with the level of transparency you see at City Hall in conducting meetings and sharing information with the public?
Yes, I am. I think when COVID happened and they started moving meetings online, it allowed more people to engage with the city commission at city commission meetings, and people are still allowed, since COVID has ended, to view commission meetings online, to engage in public comment through online service. So I think the transparency has increased since our existing city commission took the dais, and so I'm happy with the level of transparency.
Mr. Russell.
Question one more time.
Are you happy with the level of transparency you see at City Hall in conducting meetings and sharing information with the public?
Uh, I think the I think the current city commission, they make an effort to say they share a lot of information and that's online, and you can stream it, and if you're that good with computer or if you have your internet, but you regular people can't get to the commission meetings at 3:30 in the afternoon. They're working, and public comment gets missed by the public that actually works and puts into this community from 9 to 5. I know as a teacher, I miss out opportunities on public comment or opportunity to go to commission meetings um, because it's so early. I'd like to be a big advocate. I am a big advocate of changing those times because I think that increases transparency.
Mr. Johnson. Oh,
I thought I
He
answered that
answered it.
I'm
already.
sorry.
It's okay. I
It's a
can answer it
check.
again
It's
if
a
you'd
check
like.
mark.
Yeah.
Um, Tell us about two opportunities or problems that you foresee and explain how you would approach them to improve and maintain the quality of life in Winter Park.
I think that's
It's
to
yeah, I
Mr.
think
Russell
it's for me. I
first.
just wanted to make sure. Could you do the question one more time?
Sure.
Sorry.
Tell us about two opportunities or problems that you foresee and explain how you would approach them to improve and maintain the quality of life in Winter Park.
I think one of the impending problems we're going to have is that the next commission is going to have a pretty daunting task to really figure out a way to get this budget in a way in manageable. I mean, I think we've had a lot of free money coming in, and the existing commission has had, almost a blank checkbook to do a lot of different things and be very open with what they can do. This next commission, we're going to have some, I say we, the public and those elected officials are going to have, some real interesting questions to answer and some hard decisions to be made. And I think I'd be ready to hear what the residents have to say and be a part of the solution.
Yeah, so the two problems that I think are sort of plaguing the city that we could focus attention on to make the lives of our residents better are this is nerd stuff. This is not sexy, but improvement of our stormwater infrastructure and our brick streets and our sidewalks. We have residents of all ages who like to walk around the city or ride bicycles around the city. And with our daughter now wanting to move further afield from home, it's important to me that we have sidewalks that are accessible and safe for our residents to use. The stormwater infrastructure is obviously something that needs to be improved, as we all saw after Hurricane Ian. I know that the city commission is devoting funds to that now, but that's going to be a budgeting challenge over the next few cycles. But it's something we need to focus on because it'll make the lives of our residents better.
Okay. Mr. Johnson. I've read that our Winter Park police officers have an average salary of $63,000 a year. Excuse me, 63,500 a year, which is just slightly above an average. I'm not sure which average. What do you think we should do about police compensation?
So it's my understanding that we have increased police compensation for our police officers dramatically might be the wrong word, but substantially enough that we have seen a dramatic increase in the number of applications that we've received for our Winter Park Police Department. And so I think if we're, above I'm guessing that maybe the national average. If we're above average, then I think, and we're getting an increased number of applications, I think we're doing the right things and we should stay that course. I don't know that we need to increase it further.
Mr. Russell?
I tend to agree with Mr. Johnson in having conversations and sitting down and walking with both our chiefs, our fire chief and our police chief. They feel very well supported, and they consider their precincts as destination precincts for law enforcement officers all around the state. I'm proud to say the City of Winter Park does a lot of great things for our police officers and the focus on public safety, and they they're I'm not gonna speak for them, but I know that they're they feel very well supported, and that makes me feel good that that's something that the city commission is taken into account and invested in, and it shows.
Okay.
This is what
Miss,
happens when there's only two of us. We have a lot more
you guys are
questions to
going through
answer.
questions pretty fast here.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
Carol, is that
very different
halftime
when
or
there's
something?
three of you, right? Just have to tell you.
This is the third quarter
Um,
yet? Halftime? I mean,
yeah, no, you don't get halftime. Mr. Russell, what are your plans to update, maintain, or increase our neighborhood parks?
oh man, parks. Um,
Hmm.
my I was fortunate enough to have Mayor Anderson appoint me to the Parks and Recreation Board, which I pride myself on because I have a true passion for our parks here, our the lakes, the parks, all of it. It's just beautiful. I grew up playing in these parks, and I again want that same experience for my family, my kids, and they played in. I think take a hard listen to what the residents in the neighborhoods are asking for when it comes to their parks and what it is they really need. And go back to the drawing board and take their input very, very strongly because they're the ones using it and they're the ones that respect it and need it. We need our parks here.
Mr. Johnson?
Well, I'm excited about the Seven Oaks Park that is you're about to break ground on. I think that's going to be a wonderful addition to the city. As you noted in one of your earlier questions, we are sort of hemmed in here. We're landlocked as a community, so there's no more land we can really pull into the city to create parkland like other cities that don't have adjacent communities all around them. So there are only so many parcels of real property that we could turn into green space. I'm not opposed to bringing more parkland into the city. The balance is that we have to do it in a financially responsible way. We've got limited dollars in the budget, and I wouldn't want to blow the budget to buy a small parcel of real estate just to turn it into a park. I think one potential opportunity for the old library could be maybe some park space. But I think we have some wonderful parks in the city. We've done a lot to improve those parks. We get a lot of great resident use out of them. And I'm excited about Seven Oaks Park. So,
Mr. Johnson, will your job interfere with the time required for City of Winter Park meetings?
no,
You're not supposed to answer that fast.
it won't. I mean, I'm blessed to be an equity partner at my law firm, and I have the freedom and the ability to regularly attend Board of Adjustments meetings that I chair right now and city commission meetings, even though they're at 3:30 on Wednesday afternoons. I certainly have the time and the ability to make them work.
Mr. Russell,
Question one more time.
will your job interfere with the time required for City of Winter Park meetings?
You know what I do for a living? It's the short answer is no, but this question I was never given this question when we were feeding the community with 200 boxes in our driveway, while still trying to run a wrestling program as well as making sure all my Canvas assignments are up to date and the grades are all put in, as well as making sure that the football team has somewhere to work out and practice, all the while still keeping the same teaching job. So I'm excited to continue to serve this community in a way that is powerful and meaningful.
Okay. Mr. Russell, what best practices would you bring to city government from other communities which you have either experienced or studied?
It's the best practices I always lean on are my experience as an educator. As an educator, you understand that working with a team, a diverse team, statistically strong, you
Hmm.
get more things done when you have a lot of different set of goggles from different backgrounds and different experiences to a common goal. I'm team oriented, uh, multiple different types of teams, and I feel like that this city commission is ready for a fresh start and a fresh set of goggles that can share a bunch of different experiences that we haven't had in the past.
One more time on the question, please. It's the first time I've asked.
No, no, it's okay. It's just I jumped. What best practices would you bring to city government from other communities which you have either experienced or studied?
I don't know that it's a best practice answer, but I think my experience as a lawyer would be beneficial on the commission. We have a lot of development interests that come before the city commission. And I think my background, both as an equity partner at a firm that handled a lot of development in the city of Winter Park, and also my time chairing the Board of Adjustments, where I deal with variance requests from residential homeowners, gives me a unique perspective on how those issues come before the city. And so the learning curve would not be steep for me, both on that and other issues that come before the city. So I think it's my legal background experience would be.
Mr. Johnson, do you support or oppose a penny sales tax for mass transit? Why? If a penny sales tax is being considered, what should those funds be used for?
Hmm. Wasn't prepared for this one. I didn't know this was even an issue right now. I thought the last transportation tax was voted down. Uh, it's not dead yet. Okay. I think generally I'm not opposed to a transportation tax that benefits public transportation in our community. I think there are people in the city of Winter Park who rely on public transportation, and anything we can do to improve that would be a benefit to all of our residents. Uh, I think I'd want to make sure that to the extent Winter Park residents are paying that increased tax, that we're certainly getting our share of the pie once those funds are distributed.
Mr. Russell.
I want to lean on some of our department heads in the city because this is like as a little caught off guard as Jason was. It's that's something that um, I lean on, the departments that we have. We have some city officials that are very good at what they do, and this is something that I'd love to. I think Jeff Briggs. I'd like to hear his input on what do you think about a penny sales tax? How, and then of course the residents and go around and find out what they think. If that's something that they would see beneficial, where they like to see that money put, it's their money, so we'd like to know how they like to spend it.
Okay, Mr. Russell. I believe this library is the number one cultural, as it is a number one cultural gem, so valuable to the entire community. How can you support the library?
Uh,
Softball.
I'm more than proud to say that I've been a library trustee, and it was the first board that I've been able to chair. I'm not chair, but be a part of. And I mean, it's wonderful being able to speak up this library to my students, show them all the resources that we have, find a new definition of library. Just seeing my kids here, it's a testament to all the efforts that so many people were able to come together and have something like this get done. It just shows that this community can come together and, whereas they might not have agreed on it at first, but I know everybody will use it. So this place is beautiful.
Mr. Johnson.
Well, I mean, congratulations to Craig for serving on this board. It's a wonderful library. I know the community was somewhat divided when it was first proposed, but now that we have it, we need to make sure that it's adequately funded. It's a real gem and an asset to the city of Winter Park, and so we need to make sure that it has what it needs to be successful. you don't have a theater like this in a library in another community around that I've ever seen. So this is a great asset to the city of Winter Park. We need to do what we can to make sure that they have the support they need.
Okay, Mr. Johnson is next on this one. Um, the- how would you rate the city in inviting, soliciting citizen and public input on a scale of 1 to 10?
Inviting or soliciting public input. I don't know that we need to invite or solicit public input. Our residents are so engaged in city government. They really are that when there's an issue that comes before the city commission that is anywhere near controversial, our residents show out in force, either for or against it. And so, I mean, I think the city is doing plenty to engage our citizens, but I don't know that there's more that we need to do. I'm sure there's some answer out there, but I think we do a pretty good job. And the fact that our residents show up with such fervor at city commission meetings is evidence of that.
Mr. Russell,
Question one more time.
how would you rate the city in inviting, soliciting citizen and public input on a scale of 1 to 10?
I would say a 4 to 5, because there's a concerted effort to get get input, get public input. I think there's many opportunities for improvement. For instance, there's an entire community of registered voters in the schools, students, young people, that have no sort of civic engagement whatsoever. I'm proud to say that I can be a teacher for them and showing them how to get more involved in their city. I think the families that are involved in the city have kids and students that stay involved in the city, but I think some outreach in regards to neighborhoods. There's nothing better than just going up and knocking on doors. I know it might not always be feasible, but it has to, word has to get out there, not just to the people that have been there before, that have done it before. Everybody.
Um, next question for Mr. Russell. Traffic congestion and parking, the devil's holy trinity. Describe the root causes of this perceived crisis and what solutions the city might have control over as it looks at remedies.
Perceived crisis. When I was in middle school, I skated, and my parents wouldn't let me skate down alone. I had to go in the back roads and go up and find all the back roads in Rollins and the brick roads that were all busted up to get down to the library and to downtown Winter Park. Um, the only solution to fixing traffic and congestion is taking cars off the road. That's just a matter of fact. 20 years, 25 years, traffic is exactly the same as it's been from when I was in school as to now. So the solution is getting the cars off the road. Another opportunity for us to come together is figuring out ways that our generations can live, work, play here in Winter Park, because that's what those generations want to do.
Mr. Johnson.
I certainly caught on the word perceived as well, like Mr. Russell did. I think uh, we're a little bit limited in what we can do with the traffic problem because for an area like 426, the FDOT controls that. If the city had our way, I know the current city commission would propose putting in a couple of traffic lights around that S curve, which would really do a lot to decrease the number of accidents and the amount of speeding on that curve. But I know that it's a non-starter for the FDOT. So the city's working with the FDOT to come up with solutions that will hopefully calm some of that traffic. I think if you ever head eastbound or westbound on Fairbanks at rush hour, you know that it takes about an hour to get from Pennsylvania to 1792. I think there is some proposal right now that may result in a small strip of land being given to the city to create a turn lane from Fairbanks on to Denning turning north, which would do a lot to alleviate that congestion. There are lots of potential solutions.
Um, Mr. Johnson, when you look at development outcomes, what are the most significant differences between Maitland, Orlando, and the city of Winter Park?
Well, I think the biggest difference right now is the current makeup of our city commission. One of the reasons I'm running is that I want our future city commission to operate similarly to what our current city commission is, which is that if you have development that is attractive and in scale and fits within the land development code, what we've all agreed is a set of guidelines by which development should proceed. Not only should that development be approved, it should be applauded. Too often, as we've seen in Maitland and other parts of Central Florida, outside interests come in and want to overdevelop. They want to maximize the return on their investment. I get that, but that's not in our residents' best interest. You see, the land development code that we have, not as a set of guidelines, but as an obstacle to overcome. And then that variance code is the grab bag where they try to get all the extra stuff that they're not allowed to have. The variance code exists for a valid reason, but it's abused. And I want to make sure that doesn't happen anymore in Winter Park.
Mr. Russell,
Question one more time.
when you look at development outcomes, what are the most significant differences between Maitland, Orlando, and Winter Park?
My experience again with the with those neighborhoods and how I feel as though I know that I'm open to listening to our residents and what their needs are and future residents. Maitland doesn't need to be this scary development, almost Fort Lauderdale type deal that gets away from what our city is about. It's not our city, but our city can't be stagnant. We cannot continue the way we're going in regards to not giving opportunities for our future generations to have places to live, work, and play. I think we go with what the experts say. We go with what the residents say, and we move forward um, by still moving forward and maintaining the essence of what Winter Park is.
Okay, we have run through a lot of questions.
I must say,
And you know what? I'm going to suggest
40 minutes in.
that we let you guys have your closing statements and then we give them all both a big round of applause. So for closing statements, Mr. Russell is going to go first, and then Mr. Johnson. And I would remind you, you have 2 minutes, which doesn't seem like a lot,
Gotta
but it's
make
a
it
lot more
fast,
than how
but-
you've been answering the questions.
yeah, it's when to start.
You start and she'll time you.
Okay. I my grandfather used to walk me to Brookshire Elementary School. I'd get there, and every day he's Caribbean, he's a Jamaican man, and he, in patois, never said goodbye. He would say, walk good, walk good. And I said, huh, Grandpa? And I get to now pick up my son at Brookshire on the bike racks, and he'll come, how's your day? And that experience to me is something special. It's something that isn't in all communities. That's generational. Winter Park needs to, I want to be a part of giving people in this community the same experience that I had growing up. The experience I had growing up was it was able to give me opportunities to be a leader. It was serve my community. It was able to give me opportunities to speak for people that can't speak for themselves. And in doing so, I now have a tool bag and a blueprint of how to do that on a large scale. Um, if elected, I would wholeheartedly listen to all residents. I would let residents feel that they can come to me and I will hear what they're saying and do the best I can to be an advocate for them.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson.
Well, thank you to Mr. Russell for being here tonight, to the Winter Park Library for hosting, to the League of Women Voters for moderating, and for all of the residents for showing up tonight. It's really great to see this level of community engagement. I obviously hope to win your trust enough to gain your vote on March 19th. I believe I'm the right candidate with the right experience for this role. I really want to make sure that we preserve the charm and village feel that we all love so much about this city for future generations. That's really my North Star in all this. You will not see my name on a ballot for some other race. This is not a stepping stone for higher office for me. This is just a way to do some public service for a city that I love so much in a slightly more impactful way than what I'm already doing on the Board of Adjustments. It's been my honor to serve the city on the Board of Adjustments for the past 3 years, and be my honor to receive your vote on March 19th. Thank you.
Let's give them both a big round of applause. And I would be remiss if I did not thank the Winter Park Library for setting this up. How do you say no, Dr. Edwards, when she sends you an email and says, "Are you going to do this again?" But Caroline and I have been doing this. I think this is our 6th or 7th time around for the city of Winter Park, and we enjoy doing it. Just so you know, there will also be a candidate forum for the mayoral candidates. That will be on Thursday, February 8th in the morning instead of at night. So if you can't be here, please watch it afterwards. Thank you all very much for coming. Have a good evening.